guys, welcome back to my channel. I did not do 2 videos last week because I was traveling, so I hope to be back on regular schedule this week, and I'm coming at you today with a Mondo video. Like, I'm gonna have to split this up into 2 videos, I think, because I'm going to be talking about my Jane Iredale collection. I mentioned this in one of my previous videos if y'all wanted to see a video like this, and so many of you responded that yes, you did. So ask and ye shall receive. I'm going to be talking about all of my Jane Iredale products. I do have 3 products on the way to me now, which I will talk about. But what I decided to do was split this into base and then eyes and lips. So everything that has to do with face is what we're going to talk about today. And then I'm going to, right after this video, film the eyes and lips section. That way it's not like an hour-long video. If y'all only care about eyes and lips, you can watch that one. If you only care about base, you can watch this one. If you care about both, you can split them up and watch them when you can. So that's what we're going to do. Jane Iredale is one of my very, very, very favorite brands. They are what you would call like a clean, natural brand. They don't really market themselves in the green beauty space that much because they've been around for 25 years. So I feel like they've just made a name for themselves. They don't really have to, but they do have a lot of mineral products. They do take care to not put any like harmful ingredients in their products. And I just absolutely love them. I feel like whenever I use Jane products, everything turns out good. I just don't ever have to question my look. Everything on my face today is Jane, so assuming my editing goes as planned, I will kind of break away as I'm talking about a product and show you how I apply it on my face, if in fact I do have it on my face today. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to go in the order that I apply everything to the face, show you what I have and what I love. I will tell you before we get into the video that I buy all of my Jane Iredale products from Harbin House. I adore Harbin House. You've heard me talk about Harbin House. I love Courtney so much. I love all of her products. I get a ton of my skincare, and she has the full Jane Iredale line on her website. So I buy from there, and I also have a coupon code from there, and it's Mandy20. It's not an affiliate code. It's just, it helps you all out, and it gets you 20% off of all these products I'm going to talk about, which is awesome. Let's go ahead and start out with primers. I have one marketed primer, and that is the Jane Iredale Smooth Affair Facial Primer and Brightener. This is actually the second one that I have gone through. I haven't gone through this one, but it's the second one I've purchased. I did go through the first one, which says a lot because I have a lot of primers. I have a lot of everything, y'all know. So if I go through an actual product, it shows how much I love it. This is just a clear product, and it goes on very moisturizing, but you can tell that it's supposed to be a primer because it does have a little bit of a tacky feel to it. They also have one for oily skin. I don't have oily skin, so I just have the regular Smooth Affair. And then the one that I use today is my primer, and that I have been using so much lately is the Liquid Minerals foundation. So this is technically a foundation. However, I like to use it one of 2 ways. I like to either put it on as a very sheer to light coverage base, because that's what it is, and then add a little concealer where I need it and then be done. Or I like to use it as a very hydrating primer. This is pigment spheres, if you can see. They're little balls of pigment that are suspended in an aloe vera base. It does have hyaluronic acid in it. It is extremely plumping and moisturizing. So if you are someone who likes a very sheer coverage, but they also need a very, nice amount of plumpness to their skin, which I think all of us could use that, this is a great product. I'm in the color Suntan in this. If you want to step up your coverage just a little bit from that, you would go to the Dream Tint Tinted Moisturizer. So I have 2 colors of these. I used this in one of my most recent videos, and I will swatch both of them. These have SPF 15. And again, they're just a little bit of a higher coverage than the Liquid Minerals, in my opinion. I have medium light and medium. Medium is what I would use now, but that's medium light, and that's medium. So again, it's just a nice tinted moisturizer. If you want to see how it looks on the skin, you can go to, was it my last? No, it was 2 videos ago. my second playing with new makeup video that I recently posted. I used that in that video. Very, very nice. Now, if you want more coverage, we're going to talk about two other foundation base products. One is the Glo Time Full Coverage Mineral BB Cream. This is what I use today on top of the liquid minerals. The liquid minerals and BB cream and powder that I'm going to talk about is the same combination that I used in my Most Flawless Base video, because I personally think it does give you one of the most flawless bases. So this is an SPF 25. I believe there's a couple colors that only have an SPF 20. I am in the color, or I use the color 6 today, but I have 3 colors that I'm going to swatch for you. This is an extremely concentrated product. You need a very small amount. I can imagine people saying, and I have heard people say, it's just too cakey on my skin. If you go in and put the equivalent of a pump or 2 pumps that you would use in another foundation, you're right, it's going to be extremely cakey because you need a literal pea-size amount. In fact, the amount that I put on my hand in the demo today was too much. I used half of that amount. I dot it around your face, you apply it with a brush or your fingers. It is so full coverage. You need so small of an amount, so it's almost never going to get cakey as long as you do only use that small amount, because you're going to get the coverage that you want with a tiny, tiny amount. It wears flawlessly all day. It is a Glo Time BB Cream, so it does have a little bit more of a satin to luminous finish. It's not going to be a matte product. I adore this product so much. So I have, again, 3 colors. I have 4, which is right here, 6, which I use today, and 8, which I can also use in the summer. And, you know, it just kind of depends which one. But the 6 is what I use today. 4, I have used as a concealer before, because this also works as a great concealer. It's just a really nice product. And finally, for the foundation, we're going to be talking about one of my very, very, very favorite foundations of all time, the Jane Iredale Beyond Matte Liquid Foundation. I know I've talked about this so much. Can't stop loving this foundation. It says it's matte, but it's really more of like a natural satin matte finish to me. I don't feel like it's flat matte at all. And honestly, this lasts all day on me. I never, ever, ever have to question whether it's going to work on me or look right on me. I used this, or had this on, I believe, on top of the liquid minerals in my last top 5 concealers video. If you want to see how it looks on the face, I've done a full review on it. I absolutely love it. So I have 2 colors of foundation because I had originally purchased M4 and it was just too light, and then I got M8, which works perfect. So this is M4 and this is M8. I have also used this as a concealer before and it works great. Or I have mixed the M4 with like liquid bronzers, illuminators, stuff like that, and it works great right now on my face. So either one works for me, but if I'm going just straight in with a foundation, I pick M8. If you have a question on like what color should I get, just DM Herban House, DM Courtney, and she'll help you decide what color is best for you, because I know sometimes it's hard to decipher online. Okay, so that is all of the base products. I am lying. That is not. In fact, I mixed something with my liquid minerals today, and it's the Golden Shimmer Face and Body Lotion. So this is great as a lotion through décolleté in your neck to just give a really pretty shine. But I also like to use it as a primer if you want a really luminous look. So it says Golden Shimmer, but it comes out pink, and then you rub it in, and it just gives this really pretty, let me see if I can put my 2 hands together. So see if you see a difference. A subtle sheen. So this has got the product on it. This doesn't. It's subtle, but it's very pretty. And again, I mixed it with the liquid minerals today as my primer, just to give it a little bit more luminosity. And then the one base product that I don't have with me, it is currently in my bathroom, is the Tantasia Body Bronzer, or Self Tanner, I think is what they call it. I have used that on my face before. I've used it on my body. I have a friend who is a rep for Jane Iredale, and she actually uses it to contour her face, and it self-tans the contours of her face to where she doesn't even have to wear makeup, which I think is just genius. So lots of different ways to use it, but I do like that, and I will have put a picture up of it so you can see what it looks like. I just forgot to bring it in here. And now let's talk about powder. I have two powders from this line, one of which is the Pressed Base, and this is in the color Golden Glow. This is what I set my BB cream and liquid minerals with today. It's what I used in the Flawless Face video. I adore this powder. I stipple it in with the Handi Brush from Jane Iredale, which I do feel like just goes so well. I'm not saying any other brush won't work with this. I'm just saying these two match up so nicely. So I will just stipple it into the product, tap it off, and then just stipple it onto my face versus buffing it. Sometimes after I stipple, I will go in and buff, but upon first application, I always stipple, because if I go and buff directly on top of a liquid product, I'm just gonna move that liquid product around. So I find that it works best when you just stipple it. It is a mineral powder, so it is going to leave more of a luminous finish, especially after you set it with the spray that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. I love that type of finish. Now, if you want something that is a little bit more matte and doesn't have as much coverage, you can go in with the Amazing Matte Loose Powder. So this one's going to give you a little bit more of a matte finish. It doesn't have a ton of coverage though. It's not like a foundation. This is just a setting powder. So depending on your needs of coverage and finish, you can choose between these two. Now, I have tried in the past the Amazing Base, but I had the wrong color. So I'm wanting to get that in the correct color. I just don't have it with me right now. And that is basically this in like a loose form. It's just a loose mineral powder foundation, whereas this is a pressed. But those are the two powders that I have. Let's talk about bronzers. I have 3 bronzers, one of which is just a darker version of that pressed powder that I just talked about. The first is the So Bronze 2, and these come in refills when you purchase them. I have one that I bought a compact for, but this is the So Bronze 2, and they come in about 2/3 of the bronzer, and then 1/3 has like a highlighting color. You could mix it with the bronzer. Anything, you know, any of those ways to use it will work. Can't really see the highlighting color, but there's the bronze color for So Bronze 2. Love that for a really natural looking bronze. I also have So Bronze 3, and that's what I put in this little compact. And this is it right here. This is the one I used today with my Refer number 4 brush to bronze up the face. And it's just very natural. It's very easy. I don't feel like I ever overdo it, which is very easy for me to do. And it just goes on flawlessly and looks like skin. So this is the bronzer color. And then it has a really pretty like pinky blush shimmer color next to it, which I have used as a blush before and is very pretty. And it's funny because you can barely see that bronzer, but y'all saw in the demo how you can see how it shows up on my face. So that is So Bronze 3. And then I do have the number, what number is this? Color Bittersweet in the PurePressed Base that I have also used as a bronzer. So you can see that is definitely more pigment because it is a foundation versus a bronzer, but that also works. So if you want something that has a little bit more pigment, you like a much stronger bronzer, you can pick a darker color than your skin tone in the pressed base and it will work great. I forgot a powder, y'all. This is the Powder Me SPF. I can't believe this is the first time this happened because I got a lot of stuff on this table. So this is a dry sunscreen. It is SPF 30, I believe. And I have the color Nude. So it comes with this kind of little sponge, which if you're just wanting to touch up and add a little bit more sun coverage throughout the day, you can definitely use a sponge. When I use this as a setting powder, which I think is gorgeous as, I will unscrew it and then put the brush in the top so that I don't get a lot of kick up from the actual product, but there's plenty of product on that top that I can use to set my face. So either way is great. It has a mirror on the top, so it's great for on the go. And I took this with me traveling this past week, and it's really, really good to have on hand, but I also enjoy it as a setting powder. before I get into the umpteen thousand blushes that I own, I will talk about concealers. I have two concealers, one of which I love, one of which I'm like, haven't fallen in love with yet. But the Enlighten Concealer number 1, this is the third one that I have bought because I do have one that I've not bought. I do have one in my kit I'm almost out of, and I've gone through one myself entirely. This is in Enlighten 1. I use this as a corrector. I also have been priming my eyes with this, but this is that really nice peachy color, so it really takes the darkness down, but it's not anything to be scared of, because when you look at it right here, it doesn't say like orange. I mean, I can use this by itself on my no makeup days just to cover up that darkness, make me feel a little bit more awake. But I love it. You need a very, 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 very small amount. So I would just take some kind of dense synthetic brush and I'll tap it onto my under eyes. I don't even want to use my finger because a lot of times that will use too much product. If you just tap it in a stippling motion under your eye where you have the darkness, you're going to get a good amount of product. One that I'm just not sold on yet is this Active Light. This is in the color 4. It's kind of the one that you like click up. I had purchased, oh no, I think it just broke. There it goes. I had purchased one of these in a much too light color. So I purchased this one because it does have that peachy undertone, and it just doesn't sit very well under my eyes. And I don't know, I mean, when I swatch it, it seems so emollient and the color is perfect. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still gonna play with this. So far, I've used it a couple times and it hasn't worked that great, but when I see other people use it, especially like the Jane Iredale artists use it on clients, it looks so good. So I'm not giving up on it. If you have it and love it, let me know. One more thing before blush, because it kind of goes in both categories for blush and bronzer, is the contour palette. And I have it, the Great Shape Contour Kit in Warm. So this is one of the newer additions to my collection, but it is a great kit. So it has this highlight right here, which is not a shimmer highlight. In fact, I went back because I felt like my eyes were a little dark today, and I wanted to brighten them up, and I put this under my eyes to give it a little bit more brightness, and it is a matte color. This blush is like a coral color. It's really pretty. And then this is a warmer contour color, but it can still work as a contour color. This blush is a really pretty coral color. And then this is like a little bit more of a warm contour, but it can still work. And another new addition is this dome brush from Jane Iredale. You can just put a little bit of that contour in that dome brush and kind of put it right there on the cheeks. And it just kind of shapes them out even more. See a little bit of a difference in that. So now I have to do it on this side so I'm not totally messed up. Let's get into blushes. I have 9 Jane Iredale blushes, if that tells you how much I love them. So I'm gonna go through them quickly, and then at the end I'll tell you my very favorite colors. This is the very newest blush. I have only used it once, and it looks very blah in the pan. However, it is a gorgeous nude blush. This is called Flawless. This is a matte blush. It's a very pretty neutral color. So that's Flawless. Next, I have Clearly Pink, which is a little bit of a sheen. It has a little bit of a shimmer in it, and it is the brightest pink that I have, as you will be able to see. It's a very bright pink. I have Sheer Honey, which has become a favorite of mine, and this is also a beautiful eyeshadow. The only blush that I used while I was traveling. That's Sheer Honey. Then there is Sunset. I hope this is still available. This is part of a limited edition collection, but if I can find it, I will link it. This is also a gorgeous eyeshadow, and this does have a tad bit of shimmer in it as well, but it doesn't really come off on the cheek. So that's Sunset. Mocha, which has always been a favorite of mine. Very neutral, rosy pink color. This is Matte Mocha. There. We have Cotton Candy, which is a little bit of a lighter pink. And this is also a shimmer color, or sheen. I don't want to say shimmer, but that's Cotton Candy. This is Awake, which is the one I have on my cheeks today. This came in the last Everyday Basics kit, I believe, collection. I hope I'm saying that right. It's just a nice matte pink color. Really, really pretty on the cheeks. So that's Awake. Queen Bee, which I don't think you can get anymore. I think this was also part of a limited edition. But this is also really pretty pink. This one has a little bit more shimmer in it. So that's Queen Bee. I'm running out of space. Only have one more. See if I can fit it. And then Whisper. It's also a sheen, but it's a really pretty light coral color. Where am I going to put this? That's Whisper. So I think my favorites, but if I had to pick my very top two, it would be Mocha, which is down here, and Sheer Honey. That's really hard. I love them all so much. But that is my vast blush collection. And I'm not done. I'm probably going to end up having all the colors by the time it's done with. I will say I do have one cream blush, and this is in the color Connection. And I actually use this on my eyes today. I took just a dense blush and used it as my base for my lid color, which is definitely something you can do with any of your cream products. And this is just a really pretty, like, nude pink color. So that's the color Connection. It does have a little bit of a sheen to it, which most cream blushes I feel like do, just because of their properties and their formula, but this one has a little bit of an added sheen to it as well. But you'll see how I applied it to the eyes. So that is all the blushes that I have. Let's talk about highlight. I only have two highlights, one of which is not even technically a highlight. I guess both of them are technically not highlights. The first one is the one I have on my face today. I talked about it so much. It is a single eyeshadow, and it is in the color Allure. So you'll see how I apply it on my face with the Anastasia A23 brush. It is absolutely glorious. I never, ever question this as a highlight. It never shows any texture. It goes on beautifully. I don't even really have to buff it out. It's just so gorgeous. So also don't forget to use eyeshadows as highlights if they look like they would work, because I have found some of my very favorite ones in the forms of eyeshadow. And then this one is actually called a bronzer, and it's in the color Moonglow. I just use these two colors right here for a highlight. You can see how pretty that is. And then these two colors over here, eyeshadow colors. So I get use out of this whole palette, but when I'm just using it for highlight, I will just use those two colors, and it is completely worth it. That one, Moonglow, gives a little bit more of like a champagne, where the Allure is a little bit more of like a soft champagne pink. Have I talked about everything? I think I have talked about everything. The only thing left for base is the Pommist Sheer Hydration Spray. Not sheer, just hydration spray. I use this every single day. When I am using makeup, I will spray this on afterwards. I don't really use it as a setting spray because I don't need a setting spray to make my, makeup last longer. But this, especially when you're using mineral makeup, it will kind of dilute all the powder and take all that powdery look down and just leave a very pretty luminous look to the face. It does have oils in it. So, if you want something that looks matte, this isn't going to be it. But I love this. This is my third bottle of the Pommist, if that tells you anything. And very quickly, I've talked about these two brushes, and I'm just going to talk about the contour brush, which you saw me use to apply the Liquid Minerals Shimmer and then also the BB Cream. Love this for foundation products. I know it's called contour brush, and you can definitely use it for that. You can use it for brush, but I love this for foundation products. So I believe that is all of the base products that I have. So I'm going to switch off and talk about my eyes and lips. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure and like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I hope y'all all go out and have a very blessed day.